Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another of our webinar Wednesdays hosted by Cal State Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. Webinar number 299. Yeah, got a milestone coming up. It's November 15th, and we got a great program today where we'll be talking about contracting with corporate interest. So let's get going. And what is today? It's November 15th, 2023. And so we're going to get the corporate procurement how-to-dos today. So if you've thought about wanting to do business with larger corporations, this is your day to figure out, actually how we're going to do that. So also we're going to go over a little bit on the first alert and the first alert for the Corporate Transparency Act. And this is some legislation that is supposed to that has been passed and is in place to begin on actually January 1. And we'll go over a little bit about that and have much more in the upcoming weeks leading up to when it is enacted, because it is a potential real nightmare for LLCs and corporate interest around the country. So our Capital Quarter, our regular feature, our Capital Quarter, aligns this week on strategic partnerships, among other things. Our resident economist, Dr. Evans, last I saw, was soaking up the Energy Summit. He'll be back not next week, as we will be actually observing the day before Thanksgiving, a true holiday here at the SBDC. And also back after that on the 29th. So he's soaking up a lot of the news and information at the Energy Summit, the current Energy Summit. And we'll also jump into accessing capital and some of our things with our another crucial data that's needed that we've been talking about. Our community calendar has several upcoming events and we have updates. But first, let's jump to our poll. So remember, our resources are going to be in the chat box. You see those starting to populate now. Thank you, Maureen, our producer, for doing that. And if you have any questions, we will be taking those at the end. Go to the Q&A box and drop them in there. So any questions for today? And in the meantime, we're going to have kind of, I think, a quick and easy poll for you today. So let's jump into question number one. And question number one is, let's start at the top. So let's start with a procurement question first, and we're going to launch that. And our first one is going to be, my current revenues come from what source? Do your current revenues come from consumers, businesses, or government? And that's your primary revenue that you're doing right now. Are you a B2C business model, business to consumer, a B2B, business to business, or are you a B2G? So we do have already 48% of you that are participating. Jump in and let us know. Are you B2C, B2B, B2G? Consumers, businesses, government? We got 62% of you that are participating. We'll give you another moment or two to jump right on in, and then we're going to close the poll and share the results with you. Okay, 67%. That's an acceptable reply. Thank you for participating. Here are the results. Well, you're in the right place today because the 80-20 rule is in effect. 81% of your business. So 81% business to business, wanting to do more business with more, maybe larger corporate interests this time. 14% consumers and 5% on the government procurement side of things. So thank you for participating in our first poll question. Let me move this one out of the way and we'll get going on the next one. Okay, so our next poll question is going to be coming shortly. Seem to forgot how to use the poll. And the poll question number 2 is going to be, so this one is going to be a little bit different. So we're looking at, California versus the US. And it's going to be simply a California-US response that you're going to provide. So who has a higher percentage of rural businesses? Is it California? And this is on a percentage basis. Is it California or the US? So rural businesses on a percentage of your total state in California, or is it the US that has more rural businesses? So we are up to about 41% of a little bit confusing question I threw your way. So do we have higher in the US or higher in the state as far as rural businesses? And with 70% of you participating, I'm going to drop the end of this poll, end it, and share the results with you. And 58% of you say California. Well, it's actually the US has a higher rural business percentage than in California. But you wouldn't know it here in Kern, Inyo, or Mono counties, where we are very much in a lot of rural areas, as we are throughout the Central California region. So we're going to stop that particular sharing that poll and move on to our next poll question. And this poll question is going to be based on the 2022 annual Fed credit study. And it is going to be based on women-owned businesses on a percentage. Again, we're looking at the percentage of businesses. So in California, it equals 100%. In the US, launching this particular poll, are there more women-owned businesses on a percentage basis in California or the US? So we're looking for women-owned businesses as a percentage of total businesses in the state, or are there more in the United States? And my confusing poll questions continue. That was number 3. We do have about 70% of you participating. So we're going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results. And 64% of you are correct. It is California. We do have a higher proportionate number of women-owned businesses in California than the rest of the United States. And 36% of you guessed the other way. So, mentioned in the lead a little bit about the Corporate Transparency Act. And this is legislation that is supposed to begin on the first of the year, and it affects your business if it's in a corporation or LLC. So what the CTA does is it collects information on owners and other entities to curb illegal activities such as money laundering, tax fraud, human and drug trafficking, financing terrorism. I would imagine the events going on in Ukraine have something to do with this as well, but just my guess. So the Corporate Transparency Act really means that you have to file an additional form, and it has a much broader reach than it was anticipated. And the reason it's important to you, and you need to be thinking about this, is that 2 reasons. Is that you might be actually within the broad reach of the Corporate Transparency Act, meaning you will have to file and register your personal information into a federal database. And by not doing so, what you'll need to do is you will be paying a $500 per day fine for not doing so. And to add a little bit more confusion, all of the final regulations, but last time I checked, had not been finalized. So this is something, if you're a corporation or an LLC, needs to be on your radar before the end of the year. Again, it's the Corporate Transparency Act. We're looking to bring in, a professional that can talk to this for a good amount of time, since it is such a serious and important topic coming up by the end of this year. So again, the Corporate Transparency Tax, stay tuned, we'll have more and bring in an expert, but put it on your radar. There's a very good likelihood that you will need to actually provide personal information into a federal database if you are a corporation or LLC. So our regular segment on Capital Quarter, we're going to just talk briefly on strategic partnering. I think strategic partnering is really kind of an opportunity that many small businesses don't look at. And so it is a way, this could be a funding partner or a non-funding partner. A strategic partnership is all about finding partners and help provide value to you and your benefit, for your company, to your product mix, your services. It could be your brand recognition. So ways that you can actually join forces with another business. And also when you're looking, to form a strategic partnership, what you really want to do is you really want to consider that value. What's your value proposition and what resources you're going to require to be put in there? and really how you can work closely with that. Also, the business models, it needs to really have a mutually beneficial structure. It has to work for both parties to be something that really works well. So on a diagram, looking at maybe a strategic partnering, and when I think about strategic partnering and Thanksgiving coming up, I think of some of the examples I saw. One was very, 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 very minimal. It was a strategic partner from a woman that would do holiday bazaars or craft shows on the day after Thanksgiving. And oftentimes during the year, she would partner with the crafters in order for them to provide them more funding to where they can generate more product and sell more, where both of them would make more money. That is a very, very informal and a very, very small example. Another one would be where we had a concrete manufacturer who was vertically integrated. So they would actually mine a lot of the materials that would go into the concrete, and they would actually process and even go up to retail. Well, they sold the retail outlet of the concrete company, but they financed it. Why did they finance it? Because it was a strategic partnership for both of them. It was easy for that new business venture to start, but it was also a way of them retaining the raw material sales to that new business. So it's a partnership that worked both ways there. So it could be just strictly on marketing. You see a lot of large companies do marketing alliances, multiple companies. It could be based on supply chain. Supply chain example that comes to mind is of larger strategic partnering for bigger businesses are the fast food industry. Many of those partner and actually have plants where they actually will do a lot of the food prep. They will generate and shred the cheese and put it in bags and a lot of the produce. And they work together generally in low labor states. So in low cost, low labor states, they will do that work, and then they will ship this product around a much larger geographic area. But it is multiple different franchised or actually corporate-owned fast food or quick serve restaurants that are doing that in conjunction with each other. I gave you an example on the financial side of things. Another could be, just the technology side as well, where you share technology that's beneficial. But really, be looking for strategic partnerships, either funding, as the example we've provided, or non-funding on how they can actually bring value to your business. So that's our capital quarter. As many of you that are out there that have attended the last few months, or last month or so, we have been talking a lot about the 2023 Small Business Credit Survey put out by the Federal Reserve Bank. And we are participating. And so this is one of the instances where it shows California data compared to US data. And the poll questions kind of were out of that as well. But it just shows how California ranks in certain areas compared to the rest of the country when these polls were done. And really, the one that really jumps off is complying with government regulations, where maybe because we have more government regulations, I think. Definitely a lot of state, maybe not as much local here in Kern County, but definitely way more state than a lot of other states have. So maybe complying with government regulations is this much higher because there simply is more regulations. And then utilizing technology was another one that kind of jumped off the page, where you see that California is higher than the US. And in utilizing that technology might be because so many tech firms are located in California. It's just my guess here at the time. So that's a little bit of the data that's going to be collected. As you may know, we are really requesting or really hoping that you will respond to this Federal Reserve link. And if you already have, thank you very much. We're trying to get a large enough sample size through a partnership, a strategic partnership, I might add, with the Federal Reserve Bank, in order to do enough to where they will give us a subset of data in Kern County. So, and maybe it's Central California. I forgot to ask. So that is going to be very beneficial as we work with firms accessing capital down the road and other things with the data, but having a subset of US data, California data, and then specific to Kern County, I think is going to be incredibly valuable. So thank you. If you've already participated, please do so if you get the opportunity. So moving on, in Mono County, there is a grant program open, and it is the Small Business Digital Ready program. Maureen, I'm sure, will have the link in the chat box. You can grab on that link and go to that if you are in Mono County. And it is an initiative. And actually, what they will do is they will, if you apply by December 20th, it's not first come, first serve. It's going to be based on merit and based on a few other things. So those factors will be the deciding factors on if you are able to receive one of the $10,000 business grants, and you'll be notified by January 12th. Also, our free human resource hotline. We've talked about these in the past as far as the free human resource hotline, a great resource provided by the California Employers Association. You can call based on your county, and there you go. A number of different counties throughout the San Joaquin Valley, a little few on the Central Coast, and also the Eastern Sierra and Sierra Nevada foothills. So do reach out if you have a question and you want to get free advice from the California Employers Association. Also, we are working on getting our next cohort going for those that would like to go into business as running a home daycare business. An incredible shortage of daycare needs in not only Kern County. Kern County is a child care island right now. It's affecting a lot of employers, both large and small, and really is an opportunity through this business startup class to get a 12-week class, receive a grant for starting your own home-based business to where you can watch 6 children at home. And this is business training. So it's really set up with a goal in mind to have you earn a very respectable income from this daycare business while still providing a fair rate for what you would charge your people. So, it's really designed for you to make enough money and for you to provide the service at a very economical fee for others as well. So you can call the Nurture people. They're getting ready to start a new cohort, but we've had the current cohort that's going, and this is throughout the San Joaquin Valley. Basically, half of the people in that cohort are from Kern County. So think about if you know anybody who wants to get in the childcare business, there is your opportunity. So also, there's no need to save the date for the Kern County Energy Summit. No need to try to attend. This is up here just because it will be today's proceedings, which are wrapping up probably about right now. Will be on the Kern EDC website. So if you would like to actually view the Kern County Energy Summit, and actually you will have saved $100. And some great topics going on in both traditional types of energy in Kern County and some of the newer renewables. A lot of great information coming, a lot of the challenges that we're facing in Kern County with a lot of the mandates kind of pushed down from the state, and also some of the opportunities that are there and that you're starting to see in renewables. Shop Small, Saturday, the day after Thanksgiving. The Shop Small is coming back again. It's been hosted in the past decade or so by American Express, and locally, the Downtown Business Association here in downtown Bakersfield is having a event at the Lino's venue on 8th Street. You can become a vendor or text. It's going to be no vendor fee involved in any of that. Hopefully Lino has some of his great cuisine there too. Fantastic food. So that's coming up. A lot of the resources that we have in our SBDC toolbox, we do have, you can actually jump in and interact with one of our advisors and actually put a business plan together in LivePlan. So as many of you know, we have licenses secured from LivePlan, and our clients can access them free of charge to get their business plan up and going. Cash flow forecasting. Also, our YouTube channel will be a resource for all of these webinars, all 299. Well, not exactly, but there's about 250 of them in there. So, and this one will be in there. Go to our YouTube channel and actually go to our YouTube channel right there and subscribe and be notified when another one is actually uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is usually a couple of days after the end of today's live webinar on Wednesday. So we'd love to hear your feedback. So take a moment from today. Afterwards, there will be a survey that is sent to you. Please respond to the survey. Also, you can actually go to our business profile page on Google. Love to see a nice positive response. And if you ever have anything negative you want to talk about, if anything didn't work right, I would love to hear it. You can call me direct here at the SBDC. Okay, that brings us to our special guest today. And our special guest is Valerie Nafius, and she is the contracts lead at Chevron's San Joaquin Valley Business Unit. She has over 25 years in procurement, and 10 of that is at Chevron. She is a former teacher. Thank you for your years as an educator. Appreciate that. Mother of 6 and grandmother of 4. And, having kids and grandkids myself, I'm a little partial to those grandkids, I don't know about you, but she's very active in the community. Great resource for us on doing business with corporate America. Valerie, it's great to have you here. Thank you, and take it away.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm honored to be here. I'm happy that I was able to connect with Kelly. Back in May, I had given the SBDC a call because we at Chevron really look to work with local companies, small business, local, diverse folks. It's something that is within our corporate culture. We want to improve the lives of folks in the communities where we work. All right. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what supply chain does. Supply chain, procurement, purchasing, there are a lot of names for this department out there in the world. But what we do for Chevron is that we steward Chevron's third-party spend. So every supplier that works for Chevron, we manage those contracts, we manage the relationships, we manage making sure that we are getting the best value for Chevron in working with our local suppliers. So now I want to talk about inclusive procurement. Now, this is called supplier diversity. This is called a variety of things across many industries. But here at Chevron, we use this term inclusive procurement. So we strive to work with local business. We strive to work with diverse business. We strive to work with small business. There is value in utilizing suppliers that are close to home. There's value in utilizing suppliers that are a little more agile than we are. And there's value in looking at diverse perspectives and utilizing those folks that have new, original, unique ideas and bring them in. Those are not always the large companies. Very many times they come from small companies. So I wanted to go over a little of the numbers. This is what Chevron does in the Valley currently. I wanted to touch on that we spend about $371 million with local suppliers in Central California. We provide about 950 jobs, and that's Chevron employees as well as contractors. We are in the top 5 property taxpayers, #1 in Kern County. and then number 3 in both Fresno and Monterey counties. These taxes are used to fund police, firefighters, schools, infrastructure. We all know what taxes are used for. But we do that with our local businesses' help. Some exciting news about what Chevron does here in the Valley. Chevron is really delving into innovative technologies to advance the energy transition. We've all heard about it. We all know that's where we're going, and Chevron is supporting it all the way. Some things we're doing here in San Joaquin Valley is we're looking at carbon capture and storage. We have a few projects that are working along those lines. Renewable natural gas from a biosource, capturing methane on dairy farms. Hydrogen. We are looking at utilizing solar to produce hydrogen, and then we also use solar to power our fields. Now, I know that what you're interested in is what we look for in a supplier. Mainly, we look for suppliers that have a proven track record in the industry. If you've worked in oil and gas, it's a little different than working with some other types of firms. There are strict safety requirements. There are inherent, unique challenges that come with working in oil and gas that we would like our suppliers to have an understanding of. Alternatively, we are also looking at folks that provide either a new unique technology that has to do with the energy transition or our current business, or a way of performing work that's different, that gives your company a competitive advantage, which would create value between our partnership. Another thing we look at is diversity of thought. We really like to hear what other people think, bring new ideas, different ideas, somebody who looks at it with fresh eyes to solve problems that we may have. We are always looking for folks who have a strong safety culture. Safety is number 1 here at Chevron. And the oil business can have some inherent dangers when working. So our mission is to send folks home the way they came in. And to do that, we have a very strong safety culture. And we would like any suppliers that we work with to also hold those ideals. The last thing we look for is similar values. Now, these values that I've listed here come from our Chevron Way. The Chevron Way is embedded throughout everything that we do here at Chevron. And it includes trust and integrity, partnership, as Kelly was talking about before, protection of the environment, diversity and inclusion, and leading performance. So at Chevron, these are the categories of diversity that are recognized in our diversity program. Small businesses. They can self-certify based on guidelines established by the U.S. Small Business Administration, or it can be based on revenue. Women-owned, disability-owned, LGBTQ, AI+ owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned. These organizations that are listed at the bottom of these columns, these are the ones that we have partnerships with. We attend conferences, and we work with very closely to identify other suppliers that we may not know about within these categories. There is another way that we utilize to identify suppliers that are local, small, women-owned, disability-owned, LGBTQ-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned, and it is a new tool that we're using. It's called Supplier.io. Now, Supplier.io is a company that gathers data. Now, it only doesn't gather data for us. It gathers data for many large corporations. Looks like it's covered up some of our text here, but what they do is they validate a business's diversity status. So why previously Chevron would only utilize or only be able to certify companies that were within those 4 partner organizations that were certified by those partner organizations, but now utilizing Supplier.io, they will certify a business's diversity status using over 300 different certifications that businesses may apply for. One way you can connect with us is going to chevron.com. I put the link here. This is where you can register your company to become a supplier at Chevron. Now, registering your company doesn't guarantee any work. Will come your way, but you will be put into the database if you put into the database, and we encourage this registration. We're looking for greater visibility, more folks we can partner with, and want to make sure that we have the largest database to choose from. If we don't know about you because you haven't registered or because we haven't seen you out in the community, it's hard for us to connect. So I encourage you to register your company at this link and provide some visibility to your company with Chevron, as well as some other large corporations that are partnered with Supplier.io. And that's it for me.
Okay, great stuff. If you have any questions, go to the Q&A section right there and hit up with some questions. I'd like to take any questions that you have. I'm going to start off with a few right here. And, the first one is going to be, do you have any tips for those wanting to work with larger corporations? I know when we work with government businesses that want to do government contracting, oftentimes, because, unlike Chevron, I imagine, the government is really slow to pay. So oftentimes with a government person, if you're wanting to do government procurement, we want to make sure that they have the cash flow in line in order to pay their people, to buy their materials, to do the work so they can invoice and then eventually get paid. So that is one of the tips that we always do, is to have them look for credit lines and other resources that I think are good with any type of contracting. But do you have any tips for those that are wanting to do businesses with corporate interest?
Well, number one is to find out who in your area of service is there. Then talk to supply chain. that is what I can stress the most is talk to the supply chain folks, talk to procurement, talk to purchasing, whatever they're calling it, at whatever corporation you want to do business with. Those folks can tell you whether there's a need that your business can serve or not, right? But that's where you always start, is with supply chain.
Great. So also, in dealing over the years and being here for a while and working with Chevron, it's been quite a while. I got to know that they are very good about reaching and actually vastly exceeding some of the milestones that are set, for example, state employees. I know at CSUB, our state procurement has certain goals and references, percentages, and like 25% for small business and 3% for disabled businesses, or whatever they are. And back then, I know that Chevron really exceeded those, even though by law, oftentimes they're not mandated to do so.
Correct.
Are you still doing that?
And we still do, yes. Since it's one of our values to look outside and really partner with small business, partner with diverse businesses, we still very much exceed the federal requirements. Now, we do hold federal contracts, and we are a federal supplier, so we are mandated to maintain a certain level of minority-owned business, as well as woman-owned business, as well as small business. However, we do far exceed that, because one of our values is really to support the communities that we work in.
Great. So with your certifications, I noticed they were all U.S. Small Business Administration. Since you have the federal grants, you don't have any of the state certifications, which are a little bit different at times.
Well, that is the beauty of Supplier IO, because there are 300 different certifications that they accept, and will validate those certifications and utilize them under that program.
Okay, our first question, thank you for asking, is what is the best way to get in contact with the correct supply chain personnel?
Well, typically that is looking on their website and finding out who those contact folks are. I know at Chevron.com, you can look and, again, register your business, and folks in our supply chain will reach out to you if you qualify, or if there's a need that your business serves to be met. Other than that, talk to folks. Talk to the people that you work with, talk to the folks in the community. We all work where we live, so great. That's how you do it.
Our next question, does Chevron offer vendor days in which we can meet the people they're trying to connect with? I have a unique service that Supplier IQ does not provide enough resolution that allows us to stand out.
Interesting question. We have not done that recently, but it's something that I can bring up.
Right. And, we at the SBDC were hoping to do some type of procurement that would maybe include corporate and also government in the springtime. And so maybe we could invite Chevron to participate with us.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to attend.
Okay. So my next question is, you're in the San Joaquin Valley. So you're in the San Joaquin Valley unit. If somebody has a product or a service that would benefit Chevron, globally, let's say, let's not just stop in Northern California or Houston or wherever, globally, do they still contact the San Joaquin unit first, or is there an opportunity?
Absolutely.
So start with you and then see where it might have application beyond the Southern San Joaquin Valley.
Yes. So our supply chain organization is international. I currently support the San Joaquin Valley Business Unit, but I have contacts all over the world that do support a variety of business units.
Great. So we know where to get started. We go to Chevron.com. And, I doubt if you do this, but I'm going to ask anyway.
Okay.
A lot of the government programs, the state and federal programs, they might have a bidder's preference for certain members of the population that they're trying to reach. And I think the bidder's preference that most of them give is only to help them secure the lowest bid. And so it's just kind of like a little bit of rigging, sort of say, but okay.
What we do look for is a supplier who will meet the business needs and provide the best value. And that is not always the lowest price.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm not going to actually become a provider to Chevron because my motto is safety third.
Safety third. That is that's unfortunate.
Well, it's served me well. I'm still alive. Safety third for me. Okay, let's look at, there's plenty of time for more questions and answers. And the next question is going to be, how long is the process to be approved on Chevron's vendor list? And what is the cycle to be renewed on that list?
Well, once you've been reviewed and we have determined that it is in our best interest to contract with you. Once you have a contract with Chevron, that contract is available to all Chevron business units. Sometimes they're limited to the US, sometimes they're limited to a particular region. However, all Chevron business units have access to that list of contracts and suppliers that we utilize in any of our business units. As far as renewals go, it comes when your contract is renewed. So it's not on a particular time schedule.
Okay, great. Okay, so plenty of time for Q&A left. Let's go through the webinar chat box. Thank you, Maureen Busher-Dang, our producer, for adding everything, including a greeting. And so some of the things in here is the Small Business Credit Survey link. Thank you for putting in that particular link. Mono County Businesses, the $10,000 grant. There's a link right there to where you can learn more about that digital first grant. Nurture, the no-cost training program for new home childcare businesses. There's a phone number right there to where you can speak to a Nurture coach. Coming up, November 25th is Shop Small Business, the day after Black Friday. And that'll be in downtown. There's our YouTube channel reference, Google reviews. And then the last thing here is Chevron utilizes Supplier IQ. And so there's information there, links that lead to chevron.com, to their operations and supplier diversity link, to where you can scroll down and register. That's the webinar chat right now. So going back to Q&A, and the next question is, how can we find qualification for training and safety to be allowed on the leases? For example, we attend West Tech for passport training to satisfy safety training, etc. So again, the question is, how can we find qualification for training and safety to be allowed on the leases?
So as far as safety goes, to understand that process, we would need to talk to our HSE department. But there are registered companies that provide the safety training we need. In California, we have specific training requirements to work in an oil and gas facility. And there are a few different accepted companies that provide that training.
Great. Okay. Well, it seems that I'm out of questions and you're out of questions out there. So last chance to get a question in. We're going to wrap it up. And the next question is, I have a local health and wellness service business. I contacted Chevron from their website. Been trying to complete my supplier IQ profile, but have a little trouble finding categories to apply within my business. been waiting to connect on employee benefits. So any comment there?
Well, I'm not quite sure why it's difficult to find a category. I'm sure there's some option that would be close enough to apply, and you could put in the comments or the description of your business to identify its uniqueness.
Okay. So on Supplier IQ, do they use an ACE code, or exactly, since I'm not familiar with it, how do they describe a product or service in Supplier IQ?
When I see it on my side, it has the business, it has what they do, and then it has some commentary. Mm-hmm. So we can look and see what the business owner has laid out for us as far as who they are and what they do. They also talk about diversity status, and they do put in some safety numbers as well.
Okay. So one last mention on where to get started for doing business with Chevron. Where do I go?
Where do you go? Where do you go? Go to Chevron.com, register your business.
Great. Okay. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today. And we're going to be gone next week. We're going to be dark. It's going to be Thanksgiving Eve, our first Thanksgiving Eve off in 4 years. We actually get 138 webinars in a row on every Wednesday live through the year.
Amazing.
Before Thanksgiving, during the Christmas holiday, before New Year's, everything. But not anymore. We're taking Thanksgiving off this year. So we will be back on November the 29th with another webinar, number 300. And who might the special guest be? Well, you'll be finding out soon enough. So any last comments?
No, just honored to be here. Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully in the spring, when you have your events, we can meet up with some of your folks.
Fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Okay. So for Valerie Nafius, I'm Kelly Bearden. We'll be back on November 29th. Thank you for joining us. Everybody have a great week. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.